Hey everybody, Fetty here. Boy, it's crazy the difference in weather that one day can make. I mean, yesterday I was out here running around in a t-shirt, and today now it's cold. All my holes are dug, and I've got every hole bedded with a little bit of concrete. And what I'm going to try to do today is set some posts into place. Now, I spent a whole lot of time on the front end digging these holes and bedding them with concrete, and I'll explain to you why in just a minute. Now, my barn is going to be built in a way that the tops of these posts are going to be notched, and in those notches is where that top band is going to lay. Now, I've seen it done other ways. I've seen a lot of sheds or barns built where it's banded on the inside and outside of the post, and they run carriage bolts through them and hold them into place. And I guess that's okay. I'm not here to say which way is right or which way is wrong. It just seems to me that if you've got them bolted into place and it's carrying all the weight of your trusses and your roof, that, you know, over time, I don't know, are those bolts going to hold up? I don't know. I'm not saying which way is right or wrong. I'm just going to do it my way. And I'm going to notch the tops of those posts. Now, what I don't want to do is, after these posts are in the ground and concreted in, is have to climb up on a ladder and notch them out. And that's why I spent all this time on the front end. Every hole that I've dug is bedded in concrete, and that concrete, it's all on the same plane under the ground. I mean, I might be off a smidge here or there, but they're all essentially on the same plane. And what that means is when I stick a post in the ground, that there'll be exactly the same amount of post sticking out above grade all the way around, and at the tops of those posts, they're going to be on the same plane and level just like they are down below the ground. So conceptually, I ought to be able to cut those notches in those posts while they're on the ground before I ever stand them up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around to each hole with the laser and just make sure that I'm dialed in. Up here, this hole is my high corner, and that's what I've referenced everything off of. So I'll set my laser up and I'll go around to each hole, and I'll see if, you know, if I'm off a little bit, if I need to, you know, raise the hole up a little bit. I've got some of this little chat that, you know, like landscaping chat that you put pavers down with. I'll raise those holes. I'll use that just to bring it up a smidge. I guess a little sand would work too. Now, if I'm too high in the hole, well, I'll just figure out how much off I am, and I'll cut the bottom of that post. So in the end, when I set those posts in there, they're all going to be level at the top. Now, I'm going to do a couple other things along the way to kind of safeguard to make sure that I'm dialed in, and I'll show you those later in the video. But that's what the plan is, and I think it's going to work out fine. I've seen it done this way. Invest a lot of time on the front end, save a little bit of time on the back end. The first thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to set my string lines back up, and I'm going to check my corners and make sure I'm still square. You know, I don't know why I wouldn't be, but, you know, you never know when a deer or a critter's run down here and bumped into my batter board and thrown everything off, and I'd rather know it right now. So that's what I'm going to do first, and we'll just get started. Okay, I'm here at the high corner, and I've got to get a measurement of how deep that hole is below grade. Now, if you remember, I'm going to band the bottom of this building with a 2x6. So the top of this 2x6 is grade. And I want to know how deep that hole is, because everything else gets referenced off that, and I'll show you later how we'll use that measurement. So what I've done is I've laid the 2x6 down, got it leveled up, and I just had an old 2x4, stuck it in there and leveled it up, and I'm just going to scribe a line on that 2x4 and come back and measure it. So I'm 43.5 inches, 43.5 inches below grade. And that's what we'll reference everything else off of. Okay, I got to do a little math now, but it's not that panicky kind of math. It's pretty simple. My posts are 14 feet. Okay, it's 168 inches. On that high corner, that hole is 43.5 inches below grade, below the top of that 2x6. I'm gonna call it 44 inches just to keep this math simple and to give me a little wiggle room if something kind of goes wrong. So I need 10 feet sticking out above grade. That's 120 inches. So let's take a look at this, and you can check my math here. But I got 168 inches on that post. 120 of it's already accounted for right here. It's going to be sticking out of the ground. That leaves 48 inches left on that post, and I'm going to use 44 of that. So that means I got 4 inches left over. So I'm going to come in on this post, and I'm going to cut 4 inches off the bottom, and that'll work out just right. I'll have 10 feet sticking out above grade, and it's all going to be good. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now I'm going to go to work and do some carving on this thing, cut out these notches. And it's going to be a 2x12 in the top part of this notch, and it's going to be double thickness, 2 2x12. So I've measured down about 11.5. Remember, I got a little bit to work with because I gave myself about 1 inch when I set everything up on grade and everything. So mark me a line about 11.5 down, 2 of them. So it's going to be, 3 1/4, maybe 3 1/4 heavy. So I've come in here and marked that out, marked it out in the front. So I'm gonna cut that out. Now this is a corner post, so once I get this cut out, I'm gonna have to cut out another notch for the other run. So let me cut this one out first, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. So let me go start up the generator and I'll cut this thing. Finish it off with the Sawzall. Okay, got this notch cut out. It looks really good. I smoothed it up a little bit with the Sawzall. Now this is where those 2 2x12s, this is the front of the post on that high corner. This is where them 2 2x12s come in right here. Now I've also got a 2x12 coming from the other side that's going to lay in right there. So I need to take this little smidge right here out. I've already got it marked. If you can see, I'm going to take that little smidge out, and then this post is ready to be put in the ground. Now I changed the depth of the saw so it don't run too deep when I go to cutting it. this post is ready to go on the ground. That's a lot of work just to get this thing ready to go, but if you can imagine trying to do this off a ladder, that's why I wanted to do them on the ground. So the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come down from the top of this post, and I'm going to pick a number. I'm going to pick 5 feet from the top of this post, and I'm going to mark a line, and I'm going to do it on all of these posts. Every single post I'm going to come down 5 feet from the top. Now, it's not really meaning anything, it's just a reference. So when I go to start putting these posts in, I'll have a guide on each of these posts that I can double check and make sure I'm still dialed in and level. So let's get this post in the ground. Keep going. Okay, so I went ahead and put 3 posts in the ground, got them braced off real good, got them plumbed and straight. I used one of these devices right here, and then, you know, of course, used a 4-foot level on them. And I feel really good that my poles are good and straight. Now listen, when you go to put these posts in the ground, don't sweat trying to get that post within a 10,000th of an inch of your string line, because it will drive you plumb crazy and you'll never quite get it there. On mine, the corners, they worked out really good. I've got them just, you know, you could about slide a piece of notebook paper between the string and the post. But in the middle, I couldn't get it there. Just couldn't get it there. And it's laying off of that string line probably, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or less. And I'm okay with that, because you know what? Over that span of 24 feet, it ain't gonna matter at the end of the day. So get it the best you can, get it close, but don't freak out over being off just a little smidge, because it will not matter. So now I'm ready to bed these things and put concrete in these posts. These posts are 3.5 feet in the ground. They'll be here till the devil comes back. But I'm entering the age-old debate. Do I pour the concrete in wet, or do I pour it in dry? And this isn't a debate that I'm prepared to get into, because I really don't know. But all I know is my gut tells me that all I've ever known is to mix your concrete and put it in the hole. Now there may be some professional pole barn builders out there that'll tell you pour it in dry and that'll be fine, and talk about all the great benefits of doing it that way. And they may be right. I just don't know. All I've ever known is to mix your concrete. Now, the only possible compromise that I might make on that personally is pour the concrete in dry in the hole, and then pour some water in, and then take a stick and essentially mix it wet, but mix it in the hole. I'd probably be okay with doing that, and I may do that on some of these. But for now, I've got the concrete mixer set up, and I'm just going to mix it up. So let's go ahead and get started. Now on this corner, man, I couldn't get it any closer than this. It is just barely, just like the hairs of that string is touching that post on both sides. So this one's perfect. And you know, I'm fine with it this way, and I'm fine with it laying off of that post just a little bit, because you know, 10 feet up in the air, it's not gonna matter. So I put this in, I'm going to take this big metal bar and just kind of burp that concrete and work it down and get all the air bubbles out. Don't have to be too aggressive with it. Sure don't want to move my post. I'm just trying to get all them empty spots, all them dead spots out. Well, I got those 3 posts set in place and concreted in, only 8 more to go, which is really kind of discouraging to me. I tell you, these short days are killing me. I'm just not getting very much done. I'm not going to bore you by making you watch me set the other 8 posts in place, because I've already shown you what I wanted to get across in part 3 of this video, so this is a pretty good place to stop for now. I'll come back in part 4 and I'll show you how I band the top and bottom of the building and get it ready to set trusses and maybe start putting in some purlins. Hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learned something, got something out of it, and maybe got some of your own ideas. As always, if you like my videos, remember to give me a thumbs up, leave me some comments, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.